This is an art collage novel video. I made this series so you guys can experience the story faster. The video will focus on the character's psychology, the images are for illustration purposes only. Jiang Churan nodded and said, although I'm not afraid of that person, it'll indeed be a big trouble if we offend him. It might even be a great disaster. Unless Zimao can kill Li in front of everyone, it'll be a disaster for Zimao if he uses other methods to win. Ruan Hongyu lost her graceful demeanor and said seriously, I will tell Zimao about this. That person's actions were traceless, and he had always only pursued his goal, using unscrupulous means. He was simply more terrifying than anyone else. If you're targeted by him, you'll be like maggots in a tarsal bone, unable to get rid of it. Jiang Churan stared at the water screen and a trace of clarity flashed through her cloudy eyes. She suddenly said, let's not talk about this monkey from Death God Palace. What surprises me is that the city lord of Yanwu only has the cultivation base of a 6 stars martial venerable. This is definitely true, but why do I feel that there's something very wrong with this man? Ruan Hongyu smiled. You're overthinking it. It's indeed surprising that 2 people from the southern region are on the throne. Since you've already determined that this person's strength as a 6 stars martial venerable is not fake, then he won't be able to stir up any trouble. Jiang Churan shook her head and said, it's not that simple. With my current state of mind, there are very few people who can attract my attention. Have you noticed that Ruame has lost a lot of weight these past 2 days? Ruan Hongyu looked at him in surprise and said angrily, so you care about your daughter too? I thought Jiang Ruabing was your only daughter. She sniffled and sobbed, I don't know where that silly girl got her weight loss secret technique from. She knows it's useless, but she still practices it tirelessly. This child's heart really makes me feel sad and uncomfortable as her mother. I really wish that the curse mark was on me. Her heart ached, and she covered her face and wept softly. The situation this time is different from the past, Jiang Churan said seriously. I realized that Ruame has really started to lose weight. Although it's only been 2 days, she has changed a lot. Ruan Hongyu stopped crying and said, it seems that you still have some conscience. You've really spent some time and effort on your daughter. What changes did Ruame have? I really couldn't tell. Over the years, she had tried all kinds of methods, but none of them worked, so she gradually lost her attention. However, she didn't expect her husband, who had always been indifferent, to pay so much attention to her, which made her feel a little better. Jiang Churan muttered, the weight loss method she used is just the one she used often in the past. The only difference is that it was ineffective in the past. This time, it's surprisingly effective. And all of this began after Ruame met this Li Yunxiao. Ruan Hongyu's body trembled and she cried out, how is that possible? Ruame's curse can only be lifted by Gu Feiyang's ocular skill. This is Master Lu Congzi's personal judgment, and it can't be wrong. Is this Li Yunxiao the inheritor of Gu Feiyang's ocular skill? Her eyes were filled with shock, excitement, and hatred. She had lost her dignified image, and her heart was filled with uncontrollable emotions. Jiang Churan shook her head. I don't know much about the situation. But, this Li Yunxiao is definitely not Gu Feiyang's successor. The key to breaking the Ruame's curse was the moon pupil itself, not his pupil technique. Even if he had a successor, he would not be able to transfer the moon pupil out of his body. This matter is too strange. I must investigate this Li Yunxiao thoroughly. That's right, we must get to the bottom of this matter. Ruan Hongyu gritted her teeth and said, Gu Feiyang's death was too easy. If this Li Yunxiao is really related to him, then the heavens must have sent him here to avenge us. Gu Feiyang is already dead, Jiang Churan said. Why should we keep thinking about what happened back then? Everything was already in the past. Moreover, when everyone came out from the end of time, he was affected by the moon pupil and his evil nature increased greatly. It was difficult to determine right and wrong, and it was not his intention to kill too much. Furthermore, the key to removing the runic seal may still be on him. I don't care. Ruan Hongyu said angrily. Back then, the Ruan family was almost destroyed, and it was all caused by Gu Feiyang. The suffering that Ruame had suffered all these years was also caused by Gu Feiyong. Even without Li Yunxiao, we've already gotten a clue about Tianxi. As long as the planet is opened again, we'll definitely be able to find Tianxi and remove Ruame's curse. Jiang Churan frowned. It's just a few clues. It's still a question of whether we can find Tianxi. Even if we do find him, we might not be able to control him. Tianxi's power was even above the moon pupil. When Gu Feiyong obtained the moon pupil, he also became violent. It was only when he obtained the 5 volumes of the Eye Technique secret technique in the realm of Langya that he completely suppressed the evil nature of the moon pupil and became a martial sovereign of his generation. In the entire Red Moon City, even I do not have the confidence to control Tianxi. A playful smile appeared on Ruan Hongyu's face. She looked strange and said sarcastically, "You are the master of Red Moon City, the leader of the eastern region, a man of gold. The matter of controlling Tianxi cannot be asked of you. Ruame is my daughter, so I can do this alone." Jiang Churan was expressionless. After a long time, she sighed and said, "Hongyu, are you still blaming me for not seeking revenge on Gu Feiyong back then?" "I wouldn't dare." Ruan Hongyu bowed and nodded. "Back then, you were appointed by the old city lord as the next city lord, and the people of Red Moon City were also loyal to you. Besides, I also know that when the realm of Langya opened, the old city lord gave you a strict order that you must not have any conflict with Gu Feiyong. The old city lord's decision was right. There was no enmity between the Red Moon City and Gu Feiyong. The one who had enmity was the Ruan family. There was no need to drag the entire Red Moon City down. If not for the wise decision of the old city lord, perhaps the Red Moon City would not have its current glory." Jiang Churan was speechless. She looked at her beloved wife's miserable and mocking face and suddenly sighed, "I'm sorry, Hongyu. I didn't listen to the old city lord and went to find Gu Feiyong in Langya heaven." Ruan Hongyu's body trembled, and her face was filled with shock. Her eyes flashed with shock and confusion. "I'm sorry, I've lost," Jiang Churan said with a faint smile. After a moment of extreme shock, 2 lines of tears fell from Ruan Hongyu's beautiful eyes. They were tears of happiness. The few words, "I've lost," were like a spell that made Ruan Hongyu, the mistress of the Jiang family, cry like a 20-year-old girl. She threw herself into Jiang Churan's arms like a child who had been wronged and cried without restraint. "I'm sorry," Jiang Churan laughed bitterly, "I don't have the ability to help you take revenge. However, Ruame is our child. Even if I have to risk my life, I will definitely cure her." After crying for a while, Ruan Hongyu wiped her tears away with her sleeve and said, "I'm sorry, Churan. I've misunderstood you all these years." She thought about the past 10 years. Because of the blame and stubbornness in her heart, although she could understand her husband's behavior of putting the big picture first, she had never been able to let go of her views and prejudices against him being timid and afraid of death. For more than a decade, the husband and wife had lived in separate rooms and had never really gotten along with each other. Thinking of this, Ruan Hongyu felt extremely guilty and heartbroken. She blamed herself for being too selfish and paranoid. She could not trust the person who loved her so much. It turned out that her husband had disregarded the previous city lord's strict orders, not hesitating to risk his future in Red Moon City, and had already risked his life to do what she had blamed him for. With a husband like this, what more could he ask for in this life? Ruan Hongyu suddenly felt that all her grudges had disappeared. The most important thing for her now was to cherish the person in front of her. She sobbed, "According to the ancient records, Tianxi is formless and incorporeal, and is born from the convergence of the spirit of heaven and earth. It is difficult to control, and I will not allow you to take this risk. Since this Li Yunxiao can really make Ruame slim down, he must have a way. Let's try his method first, and if it doesn't work, we'll think of another way." Jiang Churan caressed her beloved wife's hair, feeling an unspeakable sense of guilt. The sect master of one of the 7 super forces, the leader of one of the 4 big regions, with 90,000 farikas, the sovereign of the world, a call from 100 people, and the admiration of tens of thousands of people. However, he couldn't avenge his beloved wife and couldn't even cure his daughter's illness. Such a sect master, such a leader, his heart was full of bitterness that no one could complain to. He rubbed his wife and said softly, "What Red Moon City master, what king's plan, I only hope that our family can be together happily. You don't have a knot in your heart, and if Mei doesn't have a chronic illness, her life will be enough." Wan Hongyu wiped her tears and punched him with her fist. "My husband can't be such a coward. A wife should be respected by her husband. You are the ruler of the world. Ruame, Ruabing, and the entire Red Moon City are all by your side. You can't disappoint everyone. With you and my son by my side, no one in this world can defeat me," Jiang Churan laughed. Jiang Churan only felt a sense of pride in her chest. The estrangement between the husband and wife for so many years had disappeared in an instant, and they were filled with love. In the Wind and Moon Hotel, Wan Zimao's eyes flashed and a smile appeared on his face. He looked at the garden full of people who were in shock and had fallen into an illusion. He was amused. In the void outside the building, Li's expression suddenly changed and he asked in a serious voice, "Do you want me to break this illusion? Can Sister Li break it?" Xiaoba asked in surprise. Li said, "This illusion has the power of rules. It's not easy to break it. However, it's not difficult for me. I only need to use the Jiuli war drum and I will break through in 3 beats." "You can't." The tyrannical Sky Tiger hurriedly said, "All the young heroes of the world are gathered here. It's impossible for the Red Moon City to do anything to them. Ruan Zimao must have a reason for using this technique. If we act rashly, we will be laughed at. My responsibility is to protect the mother's safety," Li said indifferently. "As for whether it's a shame or not, it has nothing to do with me." The tyrannical Sky Tiger laughed. "This is the Red Moon City. A little girl from the monster race like you might not know what kind of place the Red Moon City is, right? One of the 7 superpowers of the human race. Any one of their powerhouses can kill the 3 of us in minutes. If they want to make a move on Li Yi, no one can save him. Senior Tyrannical Sky Tiger is right, let's just wait and see," Xiaoba said. "Even the Red Moon City can't help but be wary of their leader, not to mention that there are many other elites with extremely strong backings. The Red Moon City will definitely not act rashly." Other than the tyrannical Sky Tiger and the other 2, there were many other places where elemental energy fluctuations could be felt. It was as if there were objections and doubts, but they all quieted down after a short while. Ning Hangfeng and the other martial sovereigns sat quietly outside the Sky Garden, turning a blind eye to what was happening inside. In the garden, Ruan Zimao's eyes wandered as he looked at the flowing lights on the Heaven Wave mirror. He sent a spell into it and smiled. Even Aunt Jiu was illuminated by the mirror light. Her face was calm and listless, and she was trapped in the illusion. Looking at his unruly and evil face, Yunxiao fell into deep thought and said to himself, "Ruan Zimao said that this heaven wave reflection can reflect the 5 essences of a person, karma and karma. Could it be that the person in front of me is formed from the 5 essences?" With a thought, sword chi condensed in his hand and he pointed his finger. The sneer on the man's face remained unchanged. He leaned his right shoulder back and pointed out a finger as well. As the 2 finger beams collided in the air, the man actually had the upper hand. Yunxiao was forced to take a step back, and he immediately frowned. The other party snorted coldly and directly rose into the air. Using his finger as a sword, he instantly shot out tens of thousands of sword rays, which rained down. Yunxiao was very depressed. It was the same move, but this illusion was stronger than his. A cold sword of ice appeared in his hand, and he thrust it out with the Song of Green Lotus sword, producing 9 green lotuses that blocked the finger shadows that filled the sky. The illusion's expression did not change. A cold light flashed in its hand, and a cold sword of ice appeared. It slashed down from the sky, and green lotuses bloomed all over the sky. It was like a world of flowers, and the shadows of green flowers fell down. It was a beautiful sight. Yunxiao was stunned for a moment, as if his opponent would use whatever move he used. After thinking for a moment, he took out the twilight mirror and shone it on his body, then immediately teleported away. Sure enough, the illusion seemed to only allow him to use the moves and weapons he had used before. He also took out the sunset cloud mirror, but he covered Yun Xiao with it and locked the space. Your sister. Fortunately, he didn't turn into lightning, or he would have died. Damn it. Yun Xiao cursed. If the illusion could also transform into lightning, he would be in big trouble. In fact, the best way was to use ice sorcery to break the illusion, but the risk was too high. Once the ice sorcery broke the illusion, there would be waves coming from the Sky Garden. There were too many people here, and if someone caught the power of the moon eye, it would be a big problem. After thinking it through, he could only pick up the mirror and shine it over. The two mirror lights collided in the air and reflected thousands of rays of light that spread in all directions. The space where the two stood was filled with rays. It's very troublesome. If I take out the Divine Realm tablet, can I take him away? Yun Xiao frowned and thought for a while. Although it was difficult to spy on the other party's spiritual world in such a large-scale illusion, the power of the Divine Realm tablet could suppress and devour all unusual phenomena. If the illusion was broken, it would be troublesome if the fluctuation of artifact reserves was detected. This Heaven Wave mirror was only a profound level weapon to assist in cultivation. He had also figured out the function of this profound level weapon's illusionary formation. It could project his own 5 Skanda forms. Only by defeating his illusion could he break out of the formation. What he needed to do now was to kill his own illusion without destroying the illusion formation and get out of here. Since that's the case, I'll cultivate in peace for a while. I just wonder what the time pattern here is. Yun Xiao's eyes gleamed as he thrust his sword forward, unleashing the first style of the heavenly righteous art. He planned to use his martial arts as much as possible to make the illusion possess all-encompassing martial techniques. This way, it would be more interesting to fight. He made hundreds of moves in a row, all of which were different martial techniques. As long as he made a move, the illusion would be immediately learned and used with more power. Soon, Yun Xiao was at an obvious disadvantage, and he was forced to retreat. Interesting. It's as if every single detail of the exquisite martial technique's execution is calculated within the moves, leaving no gaps or flaws. The marvelousness of the use of the technique is all about one's heart. With a thought, Yun Xiao performed an incantation gesture with one hand. In an instant, a cloud of demonic energy surrounded him, and black and complicated demonic patterns immediately covered his body. 2 heads emerged behind him, and a Dharma form with 3 heads and 6 arms appeared. The moon pupil was a technique that he did not dare to use in Red Moon City, and the Divine Realm tablet was a trump card that he did not dare to use in front of any expert. Other than these two, he did not have much fear. As soon as the true fiend Dharma idol appeared, the illusion also formed an incantation gesture, and 3 heads and 6 arms appeared. The 6 arms were the same as Yun Xiao's 6 9th-tier mystic artifacts, the 1000-year Overlord Saber, the Ice Sword, the Hammer, the Mirror, the Dynasty Bell, and the 9 Northern Heaven Cold Star swords formed a sword diagram. However, the profound level weapons in Yun Xiao's hands were not real, but phantoms condensed by his mental power. More importantly, those profound level weapons were too powerful, and he was afraid that they would break the array. This kind of method of turning illusionary into real was also a divine skill. However, this was an illusion, so it was relatively easier. Not bad, this is a good place. It's not difficult to cast the true fiend Dharma and turn the void into reality. Yun Xiao said in great joy. Now, I can cultivate this Dharma idol as much as I want. The first true fiend Dharma idol he'd used in the Taihua Gold Talisman sealing formation couldn't completely merge with his 2 Dharma idol bodies, and he couldn't maintain it for a long time, so the backlash was severe. Furthermore, because he had used his true fiend Dharma idol without permission, cultivated in seclusion after leaving the Rainbow Bridge, and fought with the devil for control of his physical body, the hidden danger was getting bigger and bigger. Moreover, he found that his Dharma power was very different from the Demon Master's 3 heads and 6 arms. This was obvious at a glance when he saw the 3 heads and 6 arms that he had faked. It gave him a completely different feeling from the Demon Masters. Perhaps it's just as the devil said, Yun Xiao said to himself. Only by tempering the body with a large amount of devil essence can this Dharma form be achieved. But where can I find devil essence in the entire heavenly martial realm? All the martial arts in the world are related to the Tao, and if you can master one, you can master all of them. I don't believe that you'll be limited by this lack of demonic chi. He shouted and suddenly activated the imperishable golden body. Suddenly, a large amount of golden light shot out from his skin and intertwined with the black demonic chi. It even suppressed the demonic chi, turning his 3 heads and 6 arms golden. An illusion was cast as well. A golden body with 3 heads and 6 arms appeared in front of Yun Shao, looking magnificent and solemn. Under the golden light, a sacred aura spread out, making people not dare to open their eyes. Yun Shao glanced at it, and after being stunned for a moment, he burst into laughter and said, "It looks much more majestic like this. It seems that my true fiend Dharma idol modified by the imperishable golden body technique won't be too bad." His eyes lit up as if he had found a way to heaven. The demonic dragon's voice came with a sense of powerlessness. "Sooner or later, you'll go into chi deviation. This true fiend Dharma idol lacks the refinement of devil essence, so it's a semi-finished product. The imperishable golden body also lacks the latter half of the cultivation method, so it's also a semi-finished product. Both of them are top-tier divine abilities, and refining only half of them is already a hidden danger. Now you're messing around and making such a golden appearance, you're courting your own death. You can't live without going crazy," Yun Shao said with a smile. After he combined the true fiend Dharma idol and the inextinguishable golden body into one, he felt extremely satisfied. The profound armament in his hand started to rotate and started to charge towards his illusion. This kind of cultivation opportunity was extremely rare. Regardless of what connection the time laws of this illusionary realm had with the outside world, he didn't plan on easily killing his illusion until he completely grasped this secret technique. Otherwise, he didn't know when he would be able to have such an environment again. The 2 identical 3-headed and 6-armed Dharma Laksanas fought in the air. All kinds of profound level weapon lights collided, and the whole world was dazzling. In every warrior's illusion, there was no one who didn't fight until the sky fell and the earth cracked. However, the space garden was quiet and peaceful. Ruan Zimao smiled and counted, 7, 8, 9, 10. "We've arrived at Changcheng." As soon as his voice fell, the light on the heaven wave mirror disappeared and returned to its ordinary form. It was like an old antique that had just been unearthed. It was full of rust, and the patterns on it had been eroded to the point that it was difficult to distinguish. After a while, the people in the garden gradually woke up one by one. When they opened their eyes, they were actually shocked and confused. Unknowingly, Yun Shao had spent 6 months in the illusion, and finally, he had completely combined the imperishable golden body with the true fiend Dharma idol. In addition, through the continuous battles, the power of the imperishable golden body had been further improved. Now, he had a certain understanding of this body tempering technique. It seemed that he had to take more beatings and absorb all kinds of forces to temper his body in order to keep growing. How many beatings would he have to endure if he wanted to refine it to Ao Chongkong's level? Yun Shao sighed. Then, he looked up at the golden Dharma idol that was still standing in the sky and suddenly laughed. "I've already mastered this technique, so I don't need you to be my sparring partner. Even if you completely duplicate me, can you also duplicate martial arts comprehension and rule force?" he scoffed. Yun Shao retracted his golden body Dharma idol, then clenched his fist and made a few strange poses in the air. A faint power of rules emerged over his body as he threw out the Vajra fist. The entire space froze, and a world of fist intent spread out. Under this punch, there was nothing else in the world. The illusion also displayed a few movements, which was the sacred skills rule induction technique. The power of rules also appeared, and then he also punched out, but it was just an ordinary Vajra punch, and could not blast out a world. The comprehension and intent of martial arts could not be replicated. He pretended that the Vajra fist, which was more powerful than Yun Shao, had smashed into the world of fist intent. Bang bang bang. Although it was stronger, it was shattered by a single punch. The world of fist intent spread out and directly swallowed the illusion. The entire sky changed, and the world began to collapse. Gradually, the wondrous garden in the Wind and Moon Hotel appeared.